Back in December 2010, Battlefield Bad Company 2 Veitnam was released on Xbox 360, PS3 and PC. This expansion pack contained 5 new maps, new vehicles and new weapons. The question is it worth the investment, or is it just an unneeded piece of DLC? Let's find out. The expansion pack only ships with 2 game modes, one being Rush, which sees one team defending MCOM stations while the other team tries to destroy them, and the other game type being Conquest, which tasks teams with taking over a number of spawn points dotted across a map. Now for the most part, the maps actually do cater to both game types quite well. However, you will find Conquest probably to be the most enjoyable, with maps offering decent ranges of combat between infantry in short tight spaces, and long range roads which allow vehicles and other armour to do combat in. The mix does work quite well with Conquest, and it feels almost intense throughout the whole game type, unlike Rush, which at times can feel a bit slow and a little bit sloppy. But for the most part you will find yourself enjoying both game types, but as I said, Conquest is probably the strongest one and the most enjoyable, and probably the one that requires the most teamwork. Now, the 5 maps don't really range in terms of locations. For the most part you'll be fighting in jungles and swamps and whatnot. There is no urban maps, which is a little bit of a disappointment considering the amount of urban maps that were in the PC version of Battlefield Veitnam, which was released back in 2004. That being said, however, each map is actually designed quite well. There's no blind spots, there's no dodgy areas in which people can camp for ages and pretty much be invincible. Each map seems to have some kind of hotspot for combat, which will always attract attention on both sides, and will also offer a number of intense firefights, as well as the opportunity just to see some kick-ass action. The only real problem with some of the maps is that they can seem a little bit samey, and you might find yourself feeling you're playing the same maps over and over again if you're playing the game for long periods of times. As well as this, because of the location being in the jungle, a lot of people tend to snipe. Now, a lot of people do snipe in Battlefield Bad Company 2 as it is, but in Veitnam there seems to be more, mainly due to more coverage and more camouflage, you could say, with the bushes and whatnot. So you might find yourself being a little frustrated if you're not really into fighting snipers, but they can be quite easily countered by moving up by the number of different trench routes and whatnot which are offered on the game. That's one good thing about each map. There doesn't seem to be one set route, there is many. If you want to try and get people at the back, you can take the riverway and the patrol boat. If you want to try and go direct, you can go through the trenches. If you want to be a little bit stealthier, you can try and go over the mountains. Each map tries to offer its own little way. It's quite effective, and it does manage to sort of pull off a sense of variety, and as well as this, you can actually coordinate quite a decent attack with teammates, which is something quite lacking from a lot of modern day FPSs. The best map of the bunch is easily Operation Hastings, as it combines 4 little islands together as well as a hotspot in the middle. This played on Conquest really does offer some intense action, as well as some addictive gameplay and some pretty cool moments, such as watching 2 helicopters fight it out in the sky, while a number of tanks on each side battle, and of course the infantry combat going on pretty much everywhere. It's intense and it's pretty decent. And the feeling of frantic combat is standing theme within Battlefield Bad Company 2 Veitnam. And it does offer quite a lot of unique experiences, such as running over people in helicopters, or trying to drive out a tank in a little jeep with a little horn and nothing else. On the subject of vehicles, there's not much really to say on Battlefield Bad Company 2 Veitnam's front. You have your normal mix of tanks, 1 helicopter. As well as tanks, you also find yourself jumping into jeep patrol boats. The patrol boats themselves are actually quite effective against helicopters, as the helicopters in Veitnam are extremely easy to take down. They can be taken down using light arm fire such as pistols, or even your primary weapons such as your AK-47s or M16s or whatnot. It does kind of beg the question to the point of the Hueys, as they are extremely weak and the rockets don't do a whole lot of damage. But nevertheless, you could counterbalance this with the fact that helicopters could be considered a little bit overpowered on Bad Company 2. It really does lie in the point of view, the player. Now with each vehicle comes a radio packed full of hits from the 60s. This does add to the overall theme and feel of the game, almost like the same way Grand Theft Auto's soundtrack added to its time period. It's a pretty cool idea, and while you're in a helicopter raining down hell on some Vietnamese below, while Fortunate Son plays, it does invoke a little bit of a adrenaline rush. It's pretty cool. It's a nice little touch which was welcomed in Vietnam, and it's a little welcome touch back on the reincarnation of it here. The weapons in Battlefield Vietnam you will find are pretty much the same as you would get anywhere else. You get your M16, your AK-47s, your M21s, your PPSHs. They don't really add much to the game. They don't actually feel that new, just more like reskin models of guns back in Bad Company 2. But saying that, some weapons do tend to bear better than others. The AK-47 seems to be the pick of the bunch for the assault class, while the M40 seems to be the best sniper rifle. Of course, all the familiar weapons from Bad Company 2 make a return, such as the RPG, the AT mine, the M60, and the ability to call in airstrikes via the Recon's binoculars. The notion of teamwork is still pretty strong here. In fact, it's stronger in Vietnam than it has been in Bad Company 2, as there was a lot more opportunities to work as a team and a lot more opportunities to gain points as a team. You can easily tell when one team's got a number of players working together compared to another team that has got no one working together. You'll often find the team with no one working together is pretty much getting dominated and is an incoherent mess. However, teams that work together pretty much effectively destroy the others. Now, much like Bad Company 2, you can gain team supply points using your class's support ability. For example, assault classes dish out ammo, medics dish out health and revive players, and the engineer has the ability to repair vehicles. The real magic of Bad Company is always being the ability to mix and match your squad's classes. If you can achieve the perfect balance, you're laughing. It's pretty much an easy game to play once you have the required teammates and the required classes. However, some players might find this a little bit of a distraction and tend to go off lone wolf, which has always been a weak point in the Bad Company and indeed Battlefield series. You shouldn't be surprised to see some players taking off in a helicopter by themselves, or a tank by themselves, or indeed another form of transport by themselves. It can become a little bit annoying and it can become a little bit frustrating, but you can't really blame developers for this, as it's just a community fault. The perks of each class return, but there's not much in addition. The only one I've found is the ability to add a flamethrower to your tank, so instead of firing a machine gun as your secondary, you actually fire a flamethrower. I didn't mention the flamethrower in the previous weapons section, mainly so I can mention it here. The flamethrower is actually surprisingly balanced. When the trailers arose of the flamethrower in use, I honestly did fear for the worst. A lot of games have added flamethrowers to multiplayer only for it to be overpowered, but Vietnam has managed to balance it perfectly. What Vietnam does offer is a fun expansion experience. If you enjoyed Bad Company 2 and you want a little bit something new, then Vietnam's perfect for you. On the Xbox 360, which is the version you see in this video, it cost 1,200 Microsoft points. This price may seem a little bit steep, but for sinking a number of hours in, myself sinking in around 25, I mean, overall I can only recommend Battlefield Bad Company Vietnam enough. There isn't any overlying flaws with it, and it's not the perfect game, but what it is hugely enjoyable. And let's face it, if you're a Bad Company 2 fan, the chances are you'll probably lap this up. So if you're looking for something alternative to, say, Halo or Black Ops, or you're just looking for that extension of Bad Company 2, then Vietnam is well worth the purchase, and it'll probably have you playing well into 2011.